Donald Trump spent his entire presidential campaign whining that he was being politically persecuted by Joe Biden and Merrick Garland. And Donald Trump wanted you to believe that he was sitting in that courtroom falling asleep, not because he was a criminal, but because the system was broken. Well, Donald Trump was and is a criminal, but the system is broken. Unfortunately, it's broken in favor of people like Donald Trump who exploit their power, their money, and their elite status to get off. And that is why, along with Merrick Garland's failures, Donald Trump wasn't held accountable. But now that he is president, what is he doing? He is going after his enemies for political reasons. And the latest victim is Letitia James, but she is hitting back, dropping a bombshell on Trump that has him melting down. We are going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into Letitia James's response that has Trump so furious and, of course, his angry posting, I want to start with what Trump said about Letitia James only a few days ago that is now being exposed as a lie.
Mr. President, are you concerned about Bondi if Letitia James is not indicted?
No, she's doing a great job. Pam Bondi is doing a great job. I think Pam Bondi is going to go down as one of the best attorney generals of the ages.
Have you ever threatened DOJ leadership if they don't prosecute Letitia James?
No, I don't do that. I don't do that. I mean, I look at the facts like everybody else. You read the facts, and to me, she looks terrible. She looks like she's very guilty, but that's going to be up to the DOJ.
Are you concerned?
We knew back then that this was a lie. We talked about it last night, that Donald Trump's post about Pam Bondi was really a DM, that was a message he was directing at the Attorney General to go after his political opponents, to go after Adam Schiff, to go after James Comey, to go after Letitia James, that Donald Trump's brain is so fucking broken, the pudding is so much pouring out of his ears that he doesn't know the difference between a tweet and a DM. Well, Donald, we know that you instructed Pam Bondi to go after Letitia James because today she was indicted. And what are the charges? It doesn't even matter because they're non-existent. They're not real. They're not based in reality. I won't even give them the airtime of talking about them as if they were. But what I will talk about is Letitia James's response. It was perfect. It's what we need right now. She laid out the stakes. We're going to take a look and then get into Trump's post.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost. The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties. His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me and replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law, but to the president is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country. This is the time for leaders on both sides of the aisle to speak out against this blatant perversion of our system of justice. I stand strongly behind my office's litigation against the Trump Organization. We conducted a 2-year investigation based on the facts and evidence, not politics. Judges have upheld the trial court's finding that Donald Trump, his company, and his 2 sons are liable for fraud. I'm a proud woman of faith, and I know that faith and fear cannot share the same space. And so today, I'm not fearful. I'm fearless. And as my faith teaches me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. We will fight these baseless charges aggressively, and my office will continue to fiercely protect New Yorkers and their rights. And I will continue to do my job.
This is what I said about James Comey, who I certainly don't like as much as I like Letitia James. But when you pre-capitulate, when you in advance say, well, Donald Trump's just going to beat us, might as well settle ABC News, might as well settle Columbia University, might as well settle every single law firm Trump went after. You give him power that he doesn't have. But when Letitia James, who upsets Donald Trump for one main reason, and that's that she's a strong black woman, looks him dead in the eye and says, "Fuck off. There is no reason you are going after me except the color of my skin and how angry I make you," that shows Donald Trump is weak. And I'm glad that she's doing that. And what also exposes his weakness is the insane posting that he's doing in response. Donald Trump, of course, melting down because of Letitia James, and he wrote this recently on Truth Social. Trump recently wrote, "Corrupt Letitia James is costing New York State hundreds of billions of dollars in lost business. No company or individual wants to be there knowing that she's the quote-unquote attorney general. She is a complete and total disaster who tried running against Kathy Hochul for governor and only got 1% of the vote in polls and quit. She then went back to her witch hunt against President Donald J. Trump and others until this scum is removed from the attorney general's office. No company will move to New York, and few companies will be using the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ for going public. The new Texas exchange will be taking all of this business away, and we're talking hundreds of billions of dollars." So, of course, Donald Trump has been melting down at Letitia James, and I expect many more screeds into the night because she is hitting back. But it's not even that Letitia James or Comey are embarrassing Donald Trump. These attacks, these indictments, these phony attempts to attack his political opponents, they are blowing up in Donald Trump's face. And Lawrence O'Donnell detailed that in a way that you're going to want to get your popcorn for as it relates to James Comey. So let's take a listen to Lawrence.
She said 2 words, and only 2 words in the courtroom today. It was her first appearance as a prosecutor in an arraignment in her career as a prosecutor, and career is a very strong word to use for someone who has so far spent exactly 12 work days of her life in that career. If you're a kindergarten student in America tonight, first of all, you should be asleep at this hour. And second of all, you already have a longer career as a kindergarten student than Donald Trump's new favorite prosecutor has as a prosecutor. She proved once again today that she knows absolutely nothing about prosecuting anything. The only 2 words she spoke today were her name, and she got that wrong, as only she could. In a lifetime of listening to lawyers identify themselves in court, as they are required to do at the beginning of a proceeding, I have never heard a lawyer get that part wrong until today. She was surrounded by lawyers who knew how to do it and got it right, including one who showed her how to do it right before she got it wrong. The clerk was the first to speak in the courtroom today, asking the lawyers to, quote, "Please note their appearances for the record." And the proper response to that is the lawyer's name and who the lawyer is representing. Everyone knows that, except Donald Trump's favorite new prosecutor. The clerk said, "Will the parties please note their appearances for the record?" Mr. Lemons, good morning, Your Honor. Tyler Lemons for the United States government. Ms. Halligan. Lindsay Halligan. Mr. Diaz, good morning, Your Honor. Gabriel Diaz for the United States. The court, good morning. Mr. Fitzgerald, good morning, Your Honor. Pat Fitzgerald, and it's the honor of my life to represent Mr. Comey in this matter. The court, good morning. Ms. Carmichael, good morning, Your Honor. Jessica Carmichael for Mr. Comey. Now, I know if you haven't spent much time in courtrooms, it sounds very picky of me to note that 36-year-old Lindsay Halligan, who has never prosecuted anything in her thin experience as a lawyer, didn't say Lindsay Halligan for the United States. That's what every federal prosecutor says every time, something like that. And there's a very powerful ring to it in that room. It's a phrasing that scares defendants, although nothing could scare the tallest man in the room today, the 6'8" defendant, former FBI Director James Comey. But for a typical defendant who shows up in court for the first time in a federal case, and here's the case announced as the United States of America versus John Doe. Many a John Doe gets weak in the knees realizing that he's up against, legally anyway, the United States of America. Federal prosecutors love to throw that around. Tyler Lemons for the United States government. Gabriel Diaz for the United States. Lindsay Halligan didn't know she was supposed to say that. Lindsay Halligan didn't know that she technically failed to respond to the directive to explain her appearance in court, what she was doing there. But what she said was more accurate than trying to claim that she was there for the United States. She was there for Donald Trump and only for Donald Trump. She personifies Donald Trump in that courtroom. But Donald Trump actually has more experience in criminal courtrooms than Lindsay Halligan has. Donald Trump really is the prosecutor of this case. And he is the most incompetent prosecutor in history. And so he has chosen the most incompetent so-called acting U.S. attorney in history. The silent Lindsay Halligan's prosecutorial career is now 12 days old at this point. But might not last much more than that, maybe not more than another month or so, because knocking her out of the case is one of the first things that James Comey's lawyer intends to do, as he announced to the judge today in discussing the scheduling of the case.
These people are weak, they are ineffective, they are failures, and we should make that clear. Let's point that out, and let's remember the power that we have. That we saw Sinclair bend the knee, that we saw ABC bend the knee, not to Trump at first, but then to us, because we are more powerful. The power of our boycotts, our cancellation, our call-outs, that is more powerful than Donald Trump's fake tough guy act. Let's keep that in mind. If we capitulate in advance, if we let ourselves get down, when Donald Trump and Russ Vought said that they wanted to traumatize federal workers, they also meant they wanted to traumatize us. They want us disengaged. They want us to not care or pay attention. And I don't want you to watch every story, respond to every post. I want you to just stay engaged. That is what we need right now. We need you to be in the fight. It does not need to be all-consuming, but it cannot shut your spirit down. We are going to continue to fight on this show. We're going to talk about these issues every single day. We're going to call Stephen Miller a fuck, and Jesse Waters a piece of shit, and Donald Trump a weak, pathetic, dementia-addled nursing home patient. All of those things. And I'm not going to be scared of their censorship. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you want to watch me take down some annoying MAGA folks, you can check right there for a debate I did with Piers Morgan and Michael Knowles. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.